Hi, today we're going on a new trip, and I'll answer an interesting question I got. What animals can you meet along the way? Let's go. I took the locomotive and am now moving along the station to couple with the cars I'll take to the destination. Today's train specs: about 4,000 tons, 65 cars. The distance to the destination is roughly 150 kilometers. Alright, let's move on to a question a viewer left in the comments on the last video. It goes like this.
Hey, very exciting video. How often do you see wild animals?
What kind of them? Thank you.
Thanks for the question about animals. It's really an interesting topic. Most often on the way I see roe deer. There are certain places where they almost always show up, like on schedule. Recently, I often spot foxes with little cubs, really fun to watch. Rarely, but it happened. I've seen deer or even a lynx. A couple of years ago, there were more wild boars, but now almost none. Smaller animals show up too, like martens and weasels. Near villages, you sometimes see dogs and cats, and even cows or sheep grazing right by the tracks. And of course, the special story is moose. In autumn and spring, they come out much more often. A moose is big, slow, and let's say not the most careful animal. They are always the hardest ones to deal with, because their behavior is unpredictable. So that's how it goes. The road seems the same, but you end up meeting a whole zoo along the way. Usually, during such trips, there is time to observe nature and animals along the way. Luckily, in the regions where I work, there are no particularly dangerous predators. Wolves exist, but I've never seen them, and most likely, they don't live along the directions I usually travel. Bears are not found here either. But in neighboring countries, especially further north, there are many stories about bears coming right up to the tracks, or even encounters with tigers. That could be especially dangerous in unusual situations. For example, if you have to stop in the middle of the forest at night between stations. Meeting a predator in such conditions would be the last thing you'd want. And honestly, the most dangerous animal I encounter every day at work turns out to be a human. Yes, not a moose or a wild boar, not even a lynx, an ordinary person. Their mistakes, carelessness, and unpredictability can be truly dangerous. And you always have to keep that in mind, even when you are surrounded by nature and wild animals that seem scary. Here is a funny story with my colleagues. One night, the locomotive crew was traveling with the train along the track when a large wild boar ran onto their path. The impact could not be avoided, even though the engineer had taken all possible measures to stop the train. The collision still happened. Since the boar was unharmed, the crew decided, in a way, to take it as a sort of trophy. While this is not something anyone normally does, given the situation, the engineer and assistant loaded the boar into the locomotive's engine room and continued on to the destination station. Later, the assistant went to check the engine room and see if the boar was still there. To his surprise, the boar had regained consciousness and was quite agitated. He was probably in shock himself, but no less than the locomotive crew. They had to call specialists to carefully remove the boar from the locomotive. The locomotive returned to the depot, and with the help of forestry staff, the boar was safely taken away. That is how this unusual story ended. Have you ever had any interesting encounters with animals? If so, share them in the comments. I would love to read your stories. Actually, in the first video, this was the only question. There haven't been any more questions in the comments yet. So that's all I can share for now. And now we continue our journey. By the way, this is only my second video. I've just started making videos on YouTube, and I'm gradually figuring everything out. Your support is very important to me. Likes and especially subscriptions will help the channel grow, and your comments with questions will give me motivation to create new videos. So if you don't mind, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave your question in the comments. And here we have arrived at the destination station. The 150-kilometer journey took me about 3 hours because of train overtakes at stations. But for you, it all fits into just 7 minutes. Thank you for watching. See you next time.